A Chinese virologist called LiMeng is in hiding tonight after criticizing the Chinese government's duplicitous response to the Wuhan coronavirus. Here's part of what she said to Fox News.
The reason I came to U.S. is because I deliver the message of the truth of COVID-19. If I tell it in Hong Kong, the moment I start to tell it, I will be disappeared and killed. No one can hear me. So for this purpose, I like to go to U.S. and tell the truth of the origins of COVID-19 to the world, to let people understand how terrible, how dangerous it is. This is nothing about politics. This is a thing about whether all the human in the world can survive.
For telling the truth, the doctor says she'll be, quote, disappeared and killed. This is the government the NBA and so much of corporate America and so many of our politicians suck up to, one that murders doctors for telling the truth. This doctor says Beijing is suppressing vital information about the virus.
There are many patients that don't get treatment on time and diagnosis on time. There is no protection for both doctors and the patient and common people. And also, the government doesn't allow people to release such information. Hospital doctors are scared, but they cannot talk. CDC staffs are scared. I feel very disappointed, but I already know this would happen because I know the corruption among this kind of international organization like WHO, to China government, to China Communist Party government.
Gordon Chang is the author of the book, The Coming Collapse of China. Can't come too soon. He joins us tonight. Gordon, thanks so much for coming on. First, the obvious, do you buy her story?
I do, Tucker, because she talks about a change in attitude in colleagues in Hong Kong, as well as the people that she was in contact with in China. And that occurred about the middle of January. Well, that is consistent with what we know about the cover-up in China. So the timelines match up, and that's really critical. So, yes, I do believe she's not only compelling, she's also credible.
So why wouldn't she be a prominent voice in the discussion about COVID-19? I worry that she will not get a hearing except on this channel.
Well, she carries a message that, is going to be in discordant with what we hear elsewhere. Because, this has become like President Trump versus everybody else. And so you have a lot of people propagating China's narratives in this country because it is politically expedient for them to do so in the short term. And of course, we are in a political season. But as she says, this is not an issue of politics. And it's very important that we listen to what she says, because it does corroborate much of what we know about what the World Health Organization and China were doing in that critical January period.
What do you think the truth is about the origin of this disease?
We don't know. There's two main theories, of course. One of them is this was a zoonotic transfer in the wild from an animal to a human. The other is that this was an accidental release from the Wuhan Institute of Virology. And I have to say that my view is the latter one, because most diseases in China originate, and these coronavirus diseases originate in southern China. All of a sudden, we have one originating in the middle of China within 20 miles of China's P4 biosafety lab. That is extremely suspicious. We know that a Chinese major general was put in charge of the lab sometime around March, and I believe that she cleaned up the lab to prevent the world from knowing any evidence of what was going on.
Because Chinese researchers reached the conclusion that you have reached, there is evidence that this happened. Is anybody in the so-called international community working to find the truth and working to make sure it doesn't happen again, that nothing like this is unleashed on the world the next time?
Yeah. What we're seeing is the World Health Organization covering up for China. They've now got 2 researchers in Beijing to prepare the way for a third WHO mission to China. But they're only studying the zoonotic transfer. They're not going to Wuhan, from what we can tell. They're not going to the Wuhan Institute of Virology. So really, this is an attempt to bolster China's narrative, which was built, I think, this narrative was built by China to really divert attention away from what it was doing in that biosafety lab.
What a tragedy if the propaganda works.